Hi, George O'Connell here with another Living Room Chat. Back from Swords of Kings. It's an event up in Kentucky run by Chad Underhook, I believe it is. His last name, I might have butchered it, probably did. Chad's a really nice guy. He's got a cool store there called Hard Knocks. I went through the store, had pretty much everything. Um, Another part of the mall he had opened for us to play in. It was just fantastic. We really had a good time. 30 guys showed up, and I think 30 happy gamers all walked away. So, great job, Chad. I ended up driving in Friday night because they were getting like 6 to 8 inches of rain that night. And I probably arrived about 3 in the morning, curled up in my little car. I got a Ford Fiesta, and I'm curled up in the back seat sleeping. So, but then I ended up rooming with Shannon Shoemaker. Shannon's a great guy. He's from the Midwest. Friend of mine. I was able to play an awesome prank on Shannon Saturday morning. I'll quickly cover this one because it's funny. Shannon takes a shower first. He's waiting for me to take my shower, do the things I gotta do in the bathroom, and then we're gonna go down to breakfast together. Well, I come out of the shower, I look at Shannon all seriously, and I go, Shannon, I said, I can't believe it, but I forgot my toothbrush. I said, I hope you don't mind, but I used your toothbrush, and his eyes got like huge. And then I said, don't worry, Shannon. I said, I really rinsed it. I really rinsed it out good. I said, it's nice and clean for you. And I said, I put it back, I put the cap back on and everything. And Shannon's head just goes down and he's just shaking his head. And then I reach into my bag and I pull out my toothbrush and I go in there and brush my teeth. But it was funny. If I could have had a video of his face, I mean, it was fantastic. So on to the tournament now. Game one, I ended up having a challenge game, and I always take challenges games because the opponent wants to play you. Usually, if there's a sportsmanship score, they're going to score you really high. Because like if I challenged somebody back in the past, you're doing me a favor by accepting the game. That meant I'd always hook you up with a high sportsmanship score. So I love challenges games. Usually they're out of the box armies or something that's they feel it's going to be able to give my army a good matchup, and that's what Taylor Lee did. And Taylor had a great tournament. He probably could have finished even a little bit higher if he didn't challenge me that game one, because I ended up winning, and then he went 4-1 the rest of the event. So, and he was running elves a lot like my army, with certain aspects of it, and I was able to give him some pointers afterwards. So hopefully this makes Taylor even a better gamer and a better elf player. So Taylor, great game, had a blast. Second game, I ended up playing Eric Trombridge. I played him before, Trollbridge. Eric's a great guy. He's like me, where we really look at the board, study the board. It was a really strong game. I ended up giving him my favorite opponent a vote. He ended up beating me. We only got 6 rounds in, unfortunately. Even though I don't think it would have mattered in the 7th. We played this scenario where all the loot counters were all over the place. The first game I went 18-2. This one I had more arbitration points than I beat him like 400, 450 points, close to 500. But it only gave me a +1. I didn't get to that +2. And he ended up getting 14-6 victory over me. But it was a fun game. Had a blast. Eric's a great opponent. He ended up going undefeated with his goblins. I'm really not going to say what he plays, but goblins are a real threat now, especially with the new scenarios, and then you got those new magic spells, because when they're throwing 22, 24 units out there, and you got those blood boils, boy, they add up really quick, or other spells, because you can do it a couple of different ways. Eric's a fantastic player. Congratulations on getting your 2nd tournament win, and not only that, it was so impressive because now he's done it in the Midwest, and now he came down in the Southeast. So keep your eye out for Eric at U.S. Masters. He's going to do really well. Love playing against him. My third game was a guy that I started talking to on the internet right before the tournament on the Mantic forums. His name's Philip. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. I'll probably destroy it. But Philip's a really good guy. We were talking in a post that I did on there about my elves, what the elves did in the past. He's really new to the game. He's a smart young man. I'm sure he's going to end up being a really good player. And he sort of picked my brain on the elves. I ended up winning that one. I think it was 19-1. Really good guy. Really hope he really kicks butt the rest of the way. And hopefully he'll take some things that he got from me, put it in his toolbox, and become even a better player. So go Elves. And then I ended up playing a legend in the game hobby because he runs so many TOs up in the tournaments up in the Midwest. Mike Carter, uh, really good guy. Had a fun game against Mike. Really glad that we played. He ran the Abyssals, Abyssal Dwarfs, and Defense 6 got me. I had some opportunities, and Lady Luck was against me on one little spot where he did one wound in the shooting phase and then was able to roll box cards against my piercing archers. And my piercing archer, I really needed that because I could have took out a unit that was in front. And then I had one other little small thing that went against me, which made me mad at my dice. I was in combat with a horde of chariots against his second caster. The first one I had killed, but it was defense 5. And I did like 7 hits, but when it went to roll the wound, I couldn't roll a 5. And he was then able to move the caster because my dragon went into combat against his defense 6 rock guys, and he was then able to move it 3 inches down and then surge in because I couldn't put a wound and knock off. So the caster couldn't cast, and that was ending up the game. But he did really good, Mike. I'm really happy for him because Mike runs so many events, does a lot for the tournament field. He was a pleasure to play against. Like, matter of fact, I forgot to shoot with 2 units because I went to do a nerve test on a unit which would end your phase. And Mike said he didn't care, he let me take it. So, I mean, just a real good guy. Had a fun game against him. So, Mike, he ended up finishing 9th. So, fantastic job by Mike because that was a good room. There was a lot of good players. And for Mike finishing 9th, I was like really stoked for him. I wish he would even finished higher, but he's got me in the loss column. You got a big name under your belt, buddy. Congratulations, Mike. Fantastic job again. Then I ended up the next day, I'm going to play Robert Brandon. Now I'm mad at my dice. So I pull out these new dice that I haven't opened up. They're, nice, pretty sealed, really tight, and I'm opening up the package and I'm starting to try to dump the dice out. Well, it's packed so tight that it's hard to push out. What do I see? Robert Brandon picks up my new dice and curses them with his rolling because he wanted to see how my new dice were going to roll. My eyes go crazy. I can't believe he picked up my new dice before I could roll it and put his what would I say, his vile, evil presence on those dice, cursing them. Well, we had a fantastic game because Robert's a really good guy to play against. I ended up winning 19-1. My dice really didn't roll that good that game, but I was very lucky because we went to turn 7 and he rolled one of his dice who was jealous about him touching my dice, and it rolled a 4 so we could go to turn 7, and I ended up winning 19-1. Now, Mr. Brandon, I went and consulted a dice specialist, okay? I told him what happened, and he said, oh my gosh, your dice are cursed for life. They're no good. The only thing you can do is send them to me. He's got to do a professional wash on the dice to get your scent and your germs off of them. And then he's also got to do a remove curse on it. It's going to cost $49.99. I think you should be a gentleman and send that money to me to make up for what you did touching my dice. As I said, they're cursed. They're no good. They're absolutely no good. And I still can't believe, etiquette people, do not roll your opponent's dice before they ever get the chance to roll them first. Because now they think the other guy's their master instead of you. So, once again, I have to go to a dice specialist. $49.99, Robert, and it's all on you. Finally, I finished up the game going against the tournament, going against Felix Castro. His hard list is really good, but it's a really nice matchup for me. It's one of those favorable matchups that I do pretty good against the herd. And I ended up winning this game 17-3. It was a lot of fun. Felix is a really good guy. Fantastic. He's ex-Army like I am. Kudos to that man for serving our country and being a patriot. Just a really nice guy. He's up from the Ohio region. Plays with Mike Carter and those guys. Just fantastic guy. So Really a good young player too. So my hat goes off to Felix. My opponents ended up for the day. Tyler Lee, who challenged me, ended up taking 6. Fantastic. I ended up playing the first seed, Eric Trollbridge. Philip, who's a new player, running his elves, took 23rd out of 30. But I think he's got a high ceiling, and hopefully he'll take away some of the things that I was able to do and add it to his army. Then Mike Carter finished 9th. Great job, Mike. Once again, proud of you. 11th for Robert Brandon. He was running a new Abyssal list that was different than his other Abyssals, so he did really well at taking 11th, and Felix coming in at 7th. So, good draw of players, had a great time. Thank you, Chad, for running a really good tournament, and that's it for this Living Room Chat. My next event will be the Kingslayer in October up in the Mid-Atlantic. Tony Nelson, so giving that a shout out. Tony always does a lot for the hobby. Let's support him, people. Let's get some people out there. So a shout out to Tony Nelson. All right, thank you for listening to the podcast. Talk to you later. Bye.